Hello guys, I'm back again for another video. This time I'm going to do part 1 of my Christmas special, which is going to be my CD collection. Before I get to this though, I do have a bit of bad news. I'm probably going to cancel 25 Days of Will because of school and stuff. And plus I want some downtime to myself. So yeah. So please don't hate me for that. Anyway, here we go to my CD collection. Which one should I start off with? I'll start off with this one. This is the Metallica's. By the way, most of my CDs are in these two cases, so I will show those as well. But this is Metallica's Black Album. Very good album. It's got Enter Sandman, Sad But True, Holier Than Thou, The Unforgiven, Wherever I May Roam, Don't Trend on Me, Through the Never, Nothing Else Matters, Of Wolf and Man, The God That Failed, My Friend of Misery, and The Struggle Within. The only one I do not like in this one is Nothing Else Matters, but the rest of them I enjoy. Up next is the Bon Jovi Crossroad album, which is a really good album. It's got some of their greatest songs on here. Next is Metallica's Death Magnetic album, which it's alright, I'll say the least. But it wasn't their best album out there. Oh, I hate this one. I don't like it this much, but this is AC/DC Black Ice album. There's the disc to it. Honestly, I don't think this is a good soundtrack. But it is what it is, I'll say. Next up, the soundtrack for Shrek, which is a good soundtrack if you ask me. It's got some good songs on here. Next up is the Daughtry album, entitled Daughtry, which is a pretty good album from what I remember listening to. Next up, this one is a pretty good set of CDs. Guitar Monster Collector's Edition. All three of the CDs are in this case, which I will show. Up next is a really good one. The Best of Poison, 20 Years of Rock. This is a good CD. Now, but I gotta say, this version of Rock and Roll All Night that's on here, to me it's nowhere near as good as the Kiss version. But I still like it. Up next is Good Charlotte, The Young and the Hopeless. which I haven't really listened to. But there's the disc to it. The only song I really listen to by them is, I think it's called I Don't Want to Be in Love, which is a good song. Next up is the Rob Zombie Past, Present, and Future CD. A very creepy cover art, but very good CD. CD is in that case, but this also features a DVD with some of his music videos, which isn't that bad. The soundtrack for Shrek 2. This is pretty good. Not as good as the first soundtrack, but I like it. And the movie is also not as good as the first, but I still like it, the movie too. Nickelback, Silver Side Up. My mother has this CD as well, and she's a huge fan of Nickelback. And I like their songs too. This is a good CD. Up next, the soundtrack to the game Guitar Hero 3, Legends of Rock, which is probably the only video game related soundtrack I have. It's not bad though. There's the back to it. I actually gotta say, this remake of The Devil Went Down to Georgia is probably better than the original. But that's just my opinion. Next up, Van Halen 2. The second Van Halen album. Really good CD. I'd love to get all 6 of the original Van Halen CDs. I have the first 4. I actually have 4 of the original 6. I just need to get 2 more to complete that set. But this is a good CD. I'm a bigger fan of David Lee Roth Van Halen than Sammy Hagar Van Halen. And speaking of Van Halen, the next Van Halen album that I have to show is the Diver Down album. And this is a really good CD. It has my favorite Van Halen song on there of all time, and that's their version of Pretty Woman. To me, it's even better than the original one by Roy Orbison. And also, the Intruder solo is really good, if you ask me. Next up, this is a burnt copy, but well, not burnt. Oh, well, the CD's not in. But this is a burned copy, or by burned I mean like a remade copy of Now That's What I Call Music 22. Which I'm not a real big fan of the Now That's What I Call Music CDs, but this one's not too bad. But the main reason why I wanted this burnt is because of Move Along by the All American Rejects. That was why I really wanted it burned. Because I was a big fan of that song, and I still like it to this day. Next up, Now That's What I Call Music 14. This one does have another good Charlotte album on song on here. I didn't really listen to this one that much. And I had Now 21 somewhere too, by the way. But well, anyway, here's the 7th installment of Now That's What I Call Music. There's the disc to it. I don't listen to this that much. But they got a lot of Now That's What I Call Music CD installments. So many I don't even, I think there's like 40 something of another of them. But this one's okay, to say the least. Now these last 3 albums are probably my favorite 3 albums to listen to of these. The first one this one here is the Disturbed Sickness album, which has got a few really good songs on here. My top 2 favorite songs that are on the CD are Voices and of course Down with the Sickness. There's the disc to it. But I really like the CD. Up next is the Aerosmith Greatest Hits CD, which contains 10 of Aerosmith's greatest songs. But the number 3 one on here which is Sweet Emotion, which is a really good song, by the way, but they cut out the intro to that song, the Sweet Emotion, and the outro, and why'd they do that? But still, it's a good song anyway. Last of all the cases that I have to show you is the Van Halen 1984 album, which is a really good one. And on this one, I know I did not mention the tracks to all the others with the exception of the Metallica Black album. But on here it's got 1984, Jump, Panama, Top Jimmy, Drop Dead Legs, Hot for Teacher, I'll Wait, Girl Gone Bad, and House of Pain. My top 3 that are on this one is Jump, Panama, and Hot for Teacher. And there's the disc to it. All the Van Halen discs look very similar, with the exception, of course, of the title. And I don't know why they do that, but it's pretty stupid if you ask me, but it is what it is. Now we're going to go into the CD cases. This one is the one I listen to more at the CDs, but I'll get to this one first. This one here is the Def Leppard Pyromania album, which is pretty good. There's the burn copy for, there's the disc to Now That's What I Call 22, the burn copy of it. And here's the disc to Metallica's Black album. And yeah, here's Now That's What I Call Music 21. And I don't know what happens in a case, but I still have the disc. This actually is probably my favorite of the Now That's What I Call Music series, but I haven't listened to it in so long. These 2 right here are burned discs. One of them has some Linkin Park, Limp Bizkit, and some other stuff that I'm not going to say. The other one has got one Metallica, few Nickelback. It's got a lot of other stuff. And this is one of the NSYNC albums, and I do not listen to this anymore. I used to listen to this back in the day, but I cannot stand NSYNC now. So I'm not going to bother listening to this again for the most part. But here's a good one. The all-time greatest hits Lynyrd Skynyrd album. There's an Incubus CD, which I think the only reason why I got it was because of one of the songs on here, which I forget. It's the song that's on Guitar Hero 1. You really cannot see the title for this. Well, it's hard to see it. But this is the Ozzy Osbourne album, what is it called? It's the one that has Crazy Train. It's the one that has Crazy Train, Bark at the Moon, Shot in the Dark, Crazy Babies, The Ozzman Comet. That's it. I think that's it. But that's what this is. And up next, Backstreet Boys. One of my favorite bands from back in the day. But now I cannot stand the band either, just like I cannot with NSYNC. So I'm not going to listen to this anymore. But this used to be one of my favorite CDs. And another Backstreet Boys album, The Hits Chapter 1. I'm not going to listen to this again. The Scorpions 20th Century Masters collection, which isn't too bad. But I haven't listened to it in a long time. Last is NSYNC No Strings Attached. Again, I'm not going to bother listening to this, because I cannot stand NSYNC anymore. But that's what's in this one. Now let's get to the last few CDs, which is in this case right here. This right here is a burnt CD. It's got some Seether. Excuse me. It's got Bad Company, Stone Temple Pilots, 1 Nine Inch Nails, 1 Journey, 1 Green Day, which that one is Boulevard of Broken Dreams, and Meatloaf's Bleeding My Hands Again. I think that's what it's called. There's the CD to Van Halen's Diver Down album. And this is the first Van Halen album, which was the very first ever Van Halen album I bought, which was back in 2007. And this is probably the greatest album they made. I don't know what happened to the case, though. Here's Van Halen 2, which I showed the case for. There's the CD to Nickelback, Silver Side Up. The soundtrack to Shrek 2, which I showed the case for. This is one of the 3 CDs from that Guitar Monsters album. This one I don't listen to, though. This is this one here is probably the second disc in that series. And this one here is the AC/DC Dirty Deeds Dirt Cheap album, which isn't the greatest, if you ask me. But there's the Best of Poison 20 Years of Rock album. Now, and all these are here are just CDs that I haven't burned, that haven't been burned yet, so I'm just going to skip ahead. This one here is now, that's what I call Music 11. Which has a few good songs on here. There's the CD to Metallica's Death Magnetic album. The CD to the Rob Zombie Past Present Future album, I think that was called. The soundtrack to Guitar Hero 3. the Guitar Monsters Volume 1, which I showed the cases to both of them, and the Bon Jovi Crossroad album, which I showed the case for. Alice Cooper, Schools Out, and Other Hits. I'm not a big Alice Cooper fan, but my aunt is. One of my aunts is. My Aunt Missy is. She loves Alice Cooper, but I will admit, I do like Schools Out. And I think Under My Wheels is okay. But his greatest song, excuse me, has got to be Poison. Definitely. And no, I'm not talking about the rock band. Anyway, here's the soundtrack for the first Shrek album, which I showed the case for. And this is the CD to the Daughtry album, which I showed the case for. Well, that's going to do it for my CD collection and part 1 of my Christmas special. I'll see y'all for part 2.